There's a drawer in almost every garden shed full of stuff that promised to make life easier and never delivered. The glass globe that was supposed to water your plants for 2 weeks. The hose that expands like magic and then bursts all over your shoes. I've bought most of them, some of them twice. Today, I'm counting down the 7 garden tools I think waste the most money, right down to the worst of them all. And number 1, it's a little gadget almost every gardener owns, and a single bad reading from it can quietly wreck a perfectly healthy garden bed. At least the box on the shelf never mentions that part. So how do you tell the garden gear that actually earns its place from the stuff that just drains your wallet? That's the whole point of this list. I made it because I've wasted money on nearly everything on it, and I figured I'd save you the trouble. And I'm going to be fair the whole way through. Every single tool here gets the one real situation where it actually is worth buying. Let's get into it. Number 7, the Compost Tumbler. You've seen these, the big black barrel on a metal frame that you spin like a lottery drum. The pitch is wonderful. Compost in 2 weeks, no smell, no pitchfork. Most start around $50, and the fancy dual-chamber ones run anywhere from $100 to over $400. I really wanted to love mine, but that 2-week promise just isn't true. When Mother Earth News ran the test, an ordinary open pile that you turn and a tumbler both broke down into rich, crumbly compost in about 10 weeks. Same 10 weeks. The tumbler also holds shockingly little, and it can't handle a big load of autumn leaves. Here's the surprising part. Turn a plain pile as often as you'd spin a tumbler, and it finishes just as fast. The tumbler's only real edge is that the easy spinning nudges you to turn it more often. So what do I do instead? A simple freestanding heap, or a wire or pallet bin you can build for $20 or $30. To be fair, there's a real case for one. If you're in a small yard, you've got a homeowners association that hates a visible heap, or you're worried about rats, that sealed, tidy barrel earns its keep. But the next one doesn't just waste your cash. One version of it got recalled for actually hurting people. Number 6, the Expandable Garden Hose. You know the ones. They start short and skinny, swell up to 3 times their length when you turn the water on, then shrink back down so they store in a tiny bag. No kinks. Endurance tested to 2,000 uses, or so the box says. They usually run $20 to $40. When they work, they are lovely to drag around. The trouble is how often they do not. They burst, they split, and they leak, almost always right at the metal fittings. Back in 2015, Consumer Reports said its readers were returning 1, 2, even 3 of these hoses to the store. But here's the part I really want you to hear, because it's about safety, not just money. In June of 2025, the Consumer Product Safety Commission, together with a company called Winston Products, recalled about 3.6 million Hydrotech expandable hoses. The reason? At least 222 reports of those hoses bursting and at least 29 injuries, including a bone bruise, 2 sprains, and 5 people who said the burst temporarily hurt their hearing. And no, I'm not making that up. A garden hose, loud enough to damage your ears. Now, I have to be fair because this part matters. That recall was for that one specific Hydrotech line, not every expandable hose on the shelf. Plenty of people use other brands with no trouble at all, but it tells you a lot about how these things tend to fail. So what do I reach for instead? A good lightweight hybrid polymer hose, something like a Flexilla, runs about $35 to $40, lives on a reel, and lasts for years instead of one summer. And the honest counterpoint? For a small patio or balcony with solid brass fittings stored out of the sun, a good expandable hose is genuinely convenient and easy on your back. But the next tool doesn't burst. It catches fire on purpose, and it still won't kill your weeds. Number 5, the flame weeder. or electric weed burner. The idea sounds fantastic. Kill weeds with pure heat, no chemicals, in seconds. The corded electric ones run $30 to $70, and propane torch wands are around $200 plus propane. So why is it on this list? Because it doesn't kill the root. A hands-on tester at DIY Gardening found that a dandelion's root can run 6 to 8 inches deep, and neither a gas torch nor an electric burner gets down there. You scorch the leaves, the plant sulks for a week or two, and then it is right back, all season long. Now, one thing worth knowing. You're not even supposed to burn the weed to a crisp. A 1 or 2 second pass that just wilts the leaves is the whole goal. Cooking it longer wastes fuel and doesn't kill it any better. What works better for me? A good stirrup hoe, around $25 to $40, slicing weeds off just under the soil, hand pulling after rain when the ground is soft, or a kettle of boiling water poured straight into the cracks of your patio. The fair counterpoint? For annual weeds in driveway cracks and along sidewalks, and for organic gardeners who won't touch herbicide or simply can't bend down to pull, that little burst of flame is genuinely handy. But if you think a tool that won't kill weeds is silly, wait until you meet the one that's too weak for the job it's sold for and useless for the job it can actually do. Number 4, the mini electric or cordless tiller for small beds. The marketing promises big tiller power in a little handheld machine that'll chew through your raised beds. The corded ones, like the Sun Joe, run around $140, and the battery handhelds are $80 to $150. Here's the catch, and it's a real one. The thing is underpowered for the hard, compacted soil it's sold to break, and it's pointless in the soft, fluffy raised beds where it actually works. Gardeners who have used the small ones say it over and over. For breaking real ground, get a proper tiller, or honestly, just grab a shovel. And there's a bigger problem underneath all this. Tilling an established bed every single year actually harms your soil. Look at this. When you over-till a small bed, you turn that lovely crumbly structure into fine powder, and powder is exactly what you do not want. It packs down hard and wakes up a fresh crop of weed seeds. I want you to think about that for a second. The tool is damaging the very thing you bought it to improve. What I do instead is loosen the bed with a broad fork or a digging fork, $40 to $100, then top it with a few inches of compost and let the worms do the tilling. Less work, and the soil loves it. The fair counterpoint? If you're breaking brand new ground over several hundred square feet every year, a mid-size cultivator, or just renting a real rear-tine tiller for about $60 a day, genuinely saves your back. The gripe is the tiny handhelds on beds that are already good to go. If this is already saving you some money, do me a quick favor and tap that subscribe button. I put out honest, no-nonsense gardening every week, and it really helps the channel grow. All right, we're into the top 3 now, the ones that cost you the most, and we're getting close to number 1, that cheap little probe that can talk you into fixing soil that was never broken in the first place. Number 3, the Countertop Hydroponic Garden, the AeroGarden and all its lookalikes. This is the glowing little machine on the kitchen counter that grows herbs and lettuce indoors. Supposedly 5 times faster than soil, all year round, no green thumb required. A 6-pod harvest runs around $100 to $140, and the 9-pod bounty climbs near $230. So why is it number 3? 2 reasons. First, the money. The machine is really just the entry fee. It runs on proprietary pods, and at roughly $5 to $7 a pod. One site crunched the numbers and found that running a 9-pod bounty 3 times a year costs you $135 to nearly $190 in pods alone, with a first-year total somewhere around $400 to $450. University of Minnesota Extension also notes that for heat-loving crops grown indoors, the extra heat and light you would need is simply cost prohibitive for most of us. But the second reason is the real story. Back in late 2024, the parent company, Scott's Miracle-Gro, announced it was shutting the whole AeroGarden line down for good. Then, just a few months later, it changed its mind and brought it back in 2025. Sit with that for a second. You'd be buying a machine that only works with one company's pods, from a company that, not long ago, tried to kill it off entirely. If they ever walk away again, your glowing counter garden becomes a very expensive paperweight. So, what do I suggest instead? A sunny windowsill and a $3 packet of seeds. Or a do-it-yourself Kratky setup in a mason jar for under $15, which grows lettuce on the very same hydroponic principle for pocket change. And the fair counterpoint, because there's always one. If you live in an apartment with no outdoor space, or you want the kids growing something green in the dead of winter, these machines genuinely do get plants going, and that first little harvest is a real thrill. But number 3 at least grows you a salad. The next one promised to do one simple job: keep your plants alive while you're away, and it can't even manage that. Number 2. Watering globes, sometimes sold as Aqua globes. These are the pretty colored glass bulbs you fill with water and stab into your pot, and they're supposed to slowly water your plants for up to 2 weeks while you're on holiday. A pack of 4 runs about $14, and the dollar store versions are a few bucks. They look gorgeous on a windowsill, I'll give them that. The problem is, they have no idea how to pace themselves. The flow rate is completely at the mercy of your soil, so they either dump everything out in the first day, or they clog solid with dirt the second you push them in. One gardener tested them and found that by the very next morning, the globe had drained out completely and drenched the plant. Come closer and look at this. See the water pooled at the bottom of that pot? That's a whole globe's worth, gone overnight. And here's the part that really gets me. The way a watering globe works, a long-necked glass vessel slowly letting water out as the soil dries, is the exact same way a plain glass bottle works. You're paying for fragile decorative glass and nothing else. So instead, rinse out an empty wine bottle, fill it up, and flip it into pre-moistened soil. It is free and sturdier. For a real vacation, a little drip kit on a timer is $15 to $30 and far more reliable. The honest counterpoint? For a couple of thirsty houseplants over a short 3 to 5 day trip, a globe you've inserted carefully and poke the hole with a pencil first so it doesn't shatter can bridge the gap. And that brings us to number 1, the single dumbest garden tool you can buy. It's cheap, almost everyone owns one, and a bad reading from it can push you to wreck soil that was perfectly fine. Number 1, the cheap 3-in-1 soil meter. You've definitely seen this one. It's that little gadget with a probe or two that you push into the dirt, and the dial claims to read your soil's moisture, the light level, and your pH, all at once. Usually for $10 to $16, no batteries needed. The box even tells you that accurate measurements increase your yield. And the moisture and light readings? They're roughly okay, I'll allow it. But the headline feature, the pH reading, the one people actually buy the thing for, barely works at all. And here's exactly why it's number 1. That probe does not measure pH. Not really. What it measures is the electrical conductivity between 2 different metals stuck into your soil, and then it converts that into a number on the dial. According to Garden Myths, you'd be lucky to land within 1 full pH point of the truth. And 1 full point doesn't sound like much until you remember that pH is a logarithmic scale. Being off by a single point means being off by 10 times in actual acidity. Let me say that plainly. Your meter reads 6, but your soil might really be 5 or 7, and to a plant, those are completely different worlds. South Dakota State Extension tested a cheap kit that called phosphorus deficient in 2 soils where the lab said no phosphorus was needed at all. One well-known garden writer just flatly calls these things a virtually useless tool. And here's why a wrong reading is worse than no reading. If that dial tells you your soil is too acidic when it isn't, you'll go dump lime on a bed that was perfectly happy. And now you've created the exact problem you were trying to fix. So this tool doesn't just waste $14, it can actively hurt your garden. So what should you do instead? Spend that same $14, maybe a little more, on a mail-in soil test from your state's extension lab. You'll get an accurate pH, your real nutrient levels, and specific advice on exactly what to add. And for moisture, honestly, just stick your finger in the soil. It's free, and it's never wrong. The fair counterpoint, and it's a small one, that moisture-only function can be marginally handy if you grow a lot of spiny cactuses, where sticking your finger in literally hurts. Now, before you think I just hate every garden gadget ever made, let me flip this all the way around. Because there's one tool everybody assumes is overpriced hipster nonsense, and it's actually worth every single penny. The Hori knife. It's that heavy, half-trowel, half-blade Japanese digging knife. And I'll be honest, I rolled my eyes at mine for about a week. Then I never put it down again. It digs, it cuts through roots, it slices open bags of potting soil, it transplants, it weeds, and it even measures planting depth with the marks on the blade. Gardens Illustrated says professional head gardeners swear by theirs. Bob Vila tested 10 of them, and a working landscaper said it replaced the trowel for his entire crew. A good one runs about $28 to $60. One quick tip, skip the bargain bin versions. A telltale sign of a bad one is a weak bent fold where the blade meets the handle, and that's exactly where it'll snap. Spend a little, buy it once, and you'll wonder how you ever gardened without it. So let's go back to that drawer in the shed for a second. The watering globe, the burst hose, the gadget meter handing you numbers, it's basically inventing. Here's what I really want you to take away. Great gardening was never about the gear. The biggest harvests I've ever grown came from compost, sunshine, a finger in the soil to check the water, and a little patience. Not from anything with a dial on it. So the next time something clever-looking catches your eye, just ask yourself whether a free pile, an old wine bottle, or your own 2 hands could do the same job. Almost every time, they can. If this saved you some cash and a few headaches, go ahead and subscribe and stick around, because I've got plenty more honest gardening coming your way. Now get out there and grow something wonderful. I'll see you in the next one.